This review covers the GMC Deserter. It's a 4x4 pickup model in 125 scale from MPC number 847. It's a skill level 2 kit with plenty of pieces, and it was released in 2016. Now, even though it's a level 2 kit for the intermediate builder, there are some issues that you're going to want to know about before you build the kit. There's some issues with the tires that need to be addressed, and the rear the razors that go underneath the suspension to give that high rise have some identification problems. And also we've added some tips on how to get that put together so that it is a success. Now, there was some flash on the seats, and they can easily be removed. But speaking of that, from the original Fall Guy kit that this was based on, I think that's why this kit only has bucket seats. However, back then, most of these trucks had bench seats, so you may want to consider that if you're doing some kind of restoration. Now, the bed has some problems, a structural problem, and we'll show you how to fix that before you go ahead and try to put it together. Now, additionally, from that 84 kit, the toolbox access hatch on the sides of the bed should be filled in and removed if you want to make a regular stock truck. So aside from that, we'll get right down to where we can show you how to assemble the rest of it, because most of it goes together fairly easily, and you'll have a nice looking kit when you follow along. It's based on the rugged GMC 4x4 pickup truck that was made by GM in 1984. The kit has around 150 pieces, molded in white styrene with hollow rubber tires. The chrome parts and water slide decals are really nice, and it's been on the market just about ever since. It remains very popular. You can still get them today at Walmart and Hobby Lobby. Now, the companion kit also was released in black, and that was issued as MPC kit number 848. And this off-road pickup model features a raised 4x4 suspension, a highly detailed V8 engine, chrome wheels, Desert Dog Formula tires, heavy-duty roll bar with floodlights, and a front deluxe bull bar with a winch. When you're finished, it's about 7 3/4 inches long, 2 3/4 inches wide, and 3 inches high. Well, here you see the decals. They're actually pretty nice. The register is good, the colors are great, and you get your choice. You can just turn it into a service vehicle with Chuck's tires, or you can add those sponsor decals for your Baja rig. Here you see the contents of the kit. The chrome is really nice. It's just the right sheen. The tires are really cool. Those big hogs are hollow, and the parts have very little flash. Of course, the usual parting lines are there, but you will also see that the window glass is pretty clear. It's a little thicker than the modern day kits, but it's still pretty nice. And you got some tail lights there to add to the back end as well. But you also see some of the pieces there in the rear end. Those are all single piece construction, so they make it a lot easier to build this kit. In fact, the kit overall, even though it has a lot of pieces, is just a skill level 2 for the intermediate builder. Here you see the tires at the top, of course, and on the left side you've got those spoked chrome rims, which are pretty nice for a 4x4 truck. You've also got the outer wheel halves on the right, and in the center, that rib of 4 pieces are your rotation units, and those will get trapped inside the inners and outers, and then you use that to glue to the spindles to allow for tire rotation if you want your wheels to move. Wheel assembly is first up, and I painted the back sides a steel color. Now you just sandwich those inserts in there for the for the wheels. And then you can, scuff up the tread. You could even throw some dust or mud on them later on if you want to look more realistic with your 4x4. And here you see the tread area. It's pretty shiny right now, but I'm going to show you a little trick that I use to, add a little, scuffing to that to make them look more realistic. Now, as I've mentioned, the Desert Dog's tread looks really nice, but as you see, there's a lateral parting line running right through the center of the tire. So we're going to show you how to correct that and enhance the overall appearance. That's right, we're going to just chuck that up into a drill. You just use, some bolt pieces, a couple of washers, and some internal units to squeeze them together so that you've got something to chuck up into a drill. You just rotate the drill and put a sand stick on it, and it only takes just a few seconds to have a nice looking realistic tread tire. And next we'll start construction on the engine. And you see here the pieces are white, so they'll have to be painted, and a couple of other accessory items there at the bottom. Your oil filter, which goes on the other side, the left side of the engine, and the starter on the right. So here you see the starter, and the engine's been painted Chevy red. We've got a steel-colored starter in place here, and once that is set and dried, you can begin adding some of the other accessory pieces, and then that, of course, includes the fan and pulleys, etc. With the block built and paint dried, we can add the manifold and the valve covers, etc., along with the or you have optional too. You have the chrome valve covers there with the ribbing on them, and they look pretty nice. You see in this photo, it really makes the engine more like a show car type of engine. So you can go ahead and assemble those with either option. Of course, the fan gets painted a semi-gloss black, and the belts are flat. Now we'll continue to add these pieces to the engine. You see here you've got optional header type exhaust along with the standard exhaust manifold if you're just building a workhorse engine, and air cleaner. So you see those in position. The air cleaner is a gloss black, and just to the left of that we've got also a semi-gloss black distributor. And you see that that pipe there runs from the air cleaner down into the recirculation unit, and then here you see headers that can be applied as well to the engine. Now, once again, this is going to be for a pretty fast truck. Next, we'll work on the chassis and frame here. Now we're going to clean it up. Make sure you get all the sprue attachment points cleaned off and any parting lines, etc., that would be seen. Get these pieces out of the kit, and of course these are your suspension parts, your transfer box for the front end there, the sway bar, and also includes the drive shaft here. And we'll be adding those along with the lift parts there for the high rise. To clear up some confusion here, those part risers for the suspension, the ones that are more shaped like an A with a flat top, parts 14, and the ones that go in the rear are parts 15. They're not very clearly identified. Just note that the ones that go in the front suspension are a little wider at the base than the ones in the rear. Also, I've noticed that there's a post that's involved in this front riser, and so it's probably going to be easier to install these with some super glue one side at a time so that the parts stay together and in position. There's some flash on some of these pieces, so get out your hobby knife and clean those off so that you get a nice clean looking part. You may want to use some sand sticks to remove parting lines as well. Here you see that the body portions of the frame have been painted kind of a desert sand color. I painted the shocks yellow, but you can just about give them any color you want. And the structure is in place for the front end there with the suspension units into position. By the way, if you have any questions about positioning, at the back end of the review here are all of the instructions. So now we'll take a look here at the exhaust, and of course, if you use the headers for your Baja Racer, you won't be needing the exhaust pipes, but we use them here with the standard exhaust manifold. So those are painted, of course, steel color, and they are assembled in pieces and then added to the frame as you see them into position here. And they look pretty realistic. It's a very nice touch. So grab these parts out of the kit box and as always clean up the parting lines and sprue attachment points. And we're going to put this together, these of course being the rear end and of course the short drive shaft for that, the shocks and the lift kit items. So the two halves of the differential were put together, and then that unit is attached to the frame on top of the lift kit brackets there. Now you can locate pieces 71 here. There's the two halves of the transfer case that goes in between the two drive shafts, and you're going to attach the engine transmission shaft to that, and then assemble that all at one time as you install the motor onto its mounts. Now, you remember, you want to get a good clean mount. You need to scrape the paint off there so that you get good adhesion, because it's just on there by a couple of tabs. And you want it sitting flush on there so that the motor, of course, is flat on the horizontal plane and will not interfere with anything in the engine bay. So go ahead, after the paint's dry on the transfer box, go ahead and add that to it and the engine into place on the frame. Next, we'll jump to the interior. You see the seats and the dashboard, the steering column and the console, etc., those pieces. So we're going to paint those up and install those into the interior bucket. Yeah, you take a look at the seats here, you can see they're pretty simplistic affair. There's no real, riser underneath them. They're just down to the floor. They've also got some pretty crazy flash going on and some big sprue joints you'll need to clean up. And oddly as well, there's only bucket seats available here, and back in the day most of these vehicles only came with a full bench seat, but you can see the interiors were either painted with a black or on the right there, or like a wood tones on the left around the instrument panel. Next, you want to work on the body, and we're going to take the cab and clean up the parting line, which runs across the top of and around the fender edges there. You also see that brace in position. We'll talk about that later. But you want to clean that parting line up. It goes around there on top of the fender ridges, and then up over and around the drip edges on the top of the cab. And so you want to clean those up carefully, not to take off too much, but to make it nice and smooth. Look for the firewall and the brake booster halves. You're going to put the two halves of the brake booster together and paint that steel color. And then the firewall gets painted body color and installed in front of the cowl on the cab. And so here's a look at that installation. It goes right into place, and of course you just add the brake booster after that. Next, we'll add the radiator and the surround and the brace there, along with the other attentive parts, and of course including the washer bottle and the battery. Those accessory pieces will go, and they're mostly attached up towards the firewall. The water bottle goes up on top of the fender, though. You see that there in the white, and some nice looking appointments for the interior of an engine bay on a truck. Now we'll work on the truck bed, and it's got a similar issue with the parting line. It's a light unit across the tops there and around the back, but we're going to clean that up and get that ready for assembly and paint. There was also an issue with the bed here that I wish I had seen earlier. At this point it's easier to fix, but it may have been because of paint and warming, and anyway it was warped. I thought the frame was warped, but it was the bed. So a very hot, warm bath followed by a pressing it into position and giving it a cold shower will get it right back into position for assembly. Now we need to get out the side view mirrors and the step plates there. Nice touch for a big tall pickup truck. And as you can see, we are going to paint our body in a two-tone. It's got a nice metallic gold band around the middle, and of course the desert tan that was started out on the bottom of the frame portions there. But you can see that gold gives it a real nice and kind of a sophisticated look. This cruiser is probably more for street shows than Baja races. So locate your truck bed first, and that of course has a couple of mounting points there just inside the frame rails in the back. Look for where those contact and use some strong glue to assemble those pieces. Make sure you scrape off the paint first, and then go ahead and put the cab into position. Now it has pretty much mounting points on the sides of the body that are attached to the frame. So when you put that into position, kind of line it up. Make sure that it is symmetrical on both sides to the truck bed in the back. Next, we'll work on the front end, including the hood that gets painted with that desert tan. And we're going to add some pieces here to the front end that are chrome. We'll be using some black wash on those as well to bring out the highlights. And as you note, there's a lot of chrome in here. I decided to paint the bull bar there along with the winch to give it a real show car appearance. Now that makes this more or less a custom cruiser. I mean, if you're going to use this for working out in the fields, yeah, you're going to have to be real careful with all that chrome and special paint. It's time to move to the back end now with the rear bumper and the tailgate and taillight lenses, etc. And there's an inlay panel there on the tailgate that's chrome. The GMC logo is on that. So we're going to assemble all these. Just make sure you remove any of the chrome as well as paint if you want to glue pieces together. And you can see the back end is a nice look for the 80s, mid 80s. It's nice and clean, and it's a very functional truck. And finally, we can add the taillight lenses to the edges of the body there. So put those into place with a little white glue or clear glue so that it doesn't affect the translucence. It's time to finally add that big roll bar in the back of the bed. There's also a toolbox segment here, which I'm going to paint gloss black. And then, of course, the roll bar will be assembled, and it has some very small points of gluing contact. So you're going to want to use a little bit of slow setting glue, at least on the top rails, until you get it set into position, and then you can add some contact or CA type super glue for the rest of the roll bar to be installed into the bed. And then, of course, you add your large CB type lights, etc. And the great big radio antenna, which kind of looks like the old CB radios that we used to use. And nonetheless, at that point, you're just about finished with your model. Well, there you have it. Your model is complete. And this classic kit with its never out of style looks can be found just about anywhere. I think they're still out there in Walmart and Hobby Lobby stores, and you can get it anywhere on the internet for a pretty reasonable price. It's a real classy look, or you can throw some mud at it and make a regular off-roader out of it. Or you can carry the bling that you see on this version and call it a cruising show truck or whatever you like for a late night stretch down Main Street there. But if I were you, I'd buy one and put it on my shelf.
Thanks for joining us at Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet.
This review is brought to you in part by Ryder's Hobby Shops, where the fun begins. Stop in to one of Ryder's 2 convenient Michigan locations where you'll find a full range of the latest hobby products, supplies, parts, tools, and paint. You'll find aisles and aisles of scale model kits, RC models, model rockets, Warhammer gaming, and railroading products. Stop in at Ryder's today and tell them Doug sent you.